Mexico just approved tariffs of up to 50% on imports from China and other countries. But why would a country so deeply integrated into global trade do this? What's the real story behind this move? Let's break it down. Starting tension, here's the thing. Mexico's decision to slap these steep tariffs on imports seems like a major shift in its foreign policy. But in reality, this decision is part of a much bigger puzzle. A puzzle with Mexico, the US, and China all at the center. And it's not just about economics, it's about survival. So what's going on here? Let's peel back the layers. Key fact 1, the trade war. In 2018, the US President Donald Trump imposed heavy tariffs on China, part of a broader trade war between the two countries. In response, China fired back with its own tariffs on US goods. Now, where does Mexico fit into all this? Pause. Mexico found itself stuck in the middle. Not only is it a close neighbor to the US, but it's also part of this massive global supply chain. With tensions rising between the US and China, Mexico had to make some hard choices. Could they align with the US, or did they need to take their own path? That's where the tariffs come in. Key fact 2, the new tariffs, Mexico's new move to approve up to 50% tariffs on imports from China and other countries, isn't just a retaliation or a knee-jerk reaction. It's a strategic calculation. According to the trusted sources we analyzed, this shift aligns with Mexico's ongoing negotiations with the United States. You see, the US had been pushing Mexico hard to reduce its trade deficits with the US, and in return, Mexico could face the threat of steep import taxes on goods coming from its southern neighbor. Insight, the US factor, but this isn't just about a tit-for-tat with China. Let us zoom out a bit. Mexico and the US have been locked in trade talks, especially when it comes to how tariffs could impact Mexican exports. At the core of these discussions, President Trump's threat to slap even steeper tariffs on Mexican products. We're talking about a nightmare scenario for Mexico's economy. So what did Mexico do? They took the gloves off. Instead of waiting for the US to make the first move, Mexico went ahead and set the stage for its own tariff plans. A strong message. If you raise taxes on us, we're ready. Key fact 3, strategic calculation, the big question. Why China and why now? Well, there's a logic to this. China is one of Mexico's largest trading partners, but tensions have been bubbling for years. By imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, Mexico is sending two messages. First, we don't want to be caught in the middle of US-China politics anymore. Second, we're strengthening our negotiating position with the US, showing that we can protect our economy from external pressures. And while this move hits China hard, it also sends shockwaves to other countries. Why? Because Mexico's decision could pave the way for similar actions by other countries facing US trade pressures. Key fact 4, economic ramifications. Now, we can't ignore the reality of what these tariffs mean. It's not all about politics or posturing. There are real economic consequences here. A 50% tariff could raise the cost of goods significantly. For Mexican consumers, that means paying more for products imported from China. For businesses, it could make it harder to source cheaper materials. For the global economy, this could disrupt the flow of goods across the Americas, especially if other countries start to follow suit. But here's the thing, Mexico isn't doing this in a vacuum. This is a calculated move that could force the US to rethink its stance on the new trade terms, particularly when it comes to that looming threat of tariffs. Tension builds, strategic risks, but here, the catch. The risk here is huge. Mexico's economy is still tightly tied to the US. It's not just about trade. It's about jobs, supply chains, and political leverage. If things go sideways and trade talks collapse, Mexico could face massive economic fallout. And yet, the gamble could pay off. The idea is simple: take control of your destiny before someone else does. Whether or not this tactic works will depend on how the U.S. responds. If the U.S. backs off from its own tariffs, Mexico's move could be seen as a win. But if tensions escalate, this could spiral into a trade war that's hard to recover from. Key Fact 5. Conclusion. So, after diving deep into the facts, we can say this much: Mexico's new tariffs on China and other countries are strategic and calculated, a calculated risk in the face of potential economic disaster. The stakes are high, but Mexico is playing a game of global chess. And this time, they're trying to stay ahead of the US, China, and anyone else trying to box them in. Ending insight, in the end, Mexico is sending a clear signal. It won't be bullied by Trump's threats, and it's not going to let China off the hook either. It's a complex balancing act, and in the world of international trade, the lines are always shifting. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. The real question is, will Mexico's bold move lead to a shift in global trade dynamics? Or will it backfire in ways no one can predict? Want to stay on top of the latest developments in global trade? Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this conversation going.